So I hope everyone's doing well today. So yesterday we had some technical issues. Yep, Mahida is saying good. Okay, so yeah, today I'll be starting over from the first. So as for day one, we'll be doing file masquerading attack. Okay, yeah, good afternoon, guys. So let me just give a brief intro. So I'm currently doing my second year degree at APU Malaysia, and I'm a cybersecurity professional. And at the moment, I'm providing some freelance services and also giving training to some of the institutions. And I started hacking at the age of 16. And currently, I hold OSCP and also practical. So my current age is 21, if you guys are curious. So, and also I actively participate in multiple capture the flag competitions. So I'll be talking more about capture the flag competitions at the end of this webinar in the third day of this event. So catch you guys there. I'll be talking about how to get into cybersecurity, how to uh, learn new stuff, and also prepare for OSCP and also CH practical or any other certifications in cybersecurity. So stay tuned, guys. And also, let me advise you guys that whatever we are learning in the first day and the second day, it will be very helpful in the third day. So just stay tuned. If you guys don't actually understand any concepts, feel free to unmute yourself. I think I'm not sure if you guys are able to unmute yourself, but you guys can send a text message so I can reply you guys. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
All right, cool. So our first day is going to be about file masquerading attack. So just a brief introduction. File masquerading attack is something that happens very often in the industry, usually done by APT, Advanced Persistent Threats, like China, United States, Russia, and people like that. So basically, what they do is they embed malware into existing applications such as Word, PowerPoint, PDF, and etc. So what happens is that when a person receives this type of applications, they tend to just open it without checking the content, and they get pwned. Okay, so the social engineering has been the main reason of compromises in most of the companies, even until now. Okay, so for today's objective, we are going to deploy a framework called Gofish framework. So this framework is developed by the community. So it's a free product for us to use for social engineering assessments and stuff like that. So if you guys Google Gofish, and take a look at the images, there are multiple types of applications that are used for social engineering. Maybe some of you guys are familiar with the toolkit that is available default in Kali Linux, the toolkit, but it's very outdated as of time. But it's very helpful to just do some demo and stuff like that. But if you guys are having assessments in industry, so as for example, I've used this application in a social engineering assessment before. It's very helpful to take a look who have received the email, who have clicked the link, and the responses we are receiving from it. So this application is also used by advanced persistent threats, which are bad people who are using cybersecurity tools to attack existing companies. So the purpose of having these tools are to aid penetration testers or cybersecurity consultants to raise awareness in the industry rather than helping malicious attackers to achieve their goals. So whatever we are creating, it might be useful for malicious actors as well, but we can't do anything about it. As for example, right, if you have a gun, if the gun belongs to a police, it's going to be used for good purposes. But at the same time, if a person who is having gun which is obtained illegally, okay, so my voice is breaking, right? Okay, just give me a sec. Let me just get a microphone. Okay. Let me just try picking up a microphone.
No, it's not.
Okay, so it's fine, it's fine. Let me just. All right, cool. Hello? All good now? All right, cool. All right. So basically, right, when you have a gun, let's say that person has malicious intent, it's going to be uh, very dreadful to have those type of things in the bad person's hand. Okay. So today we are going to deploy the Gofish framework and we are going to see the inner workings of it. I'm going to teach you guys how to handle the framework because it's not easy to develop and also maintain a framework. Okay. So these type of skills are very useful when it comes to industrial knowledge. Okay. So the second objective is performing web page cloning. So I think most of you guys have actually tried out cloning any websites. So we are going to use this as part of our attack today. And finally, we are going to conduct our attack, which is our main goal, which is file masquerading attack. Okay. So for today, we have three tools that are essential for our task today. So for the first tool is Gofish, as I mentioned earlier. You guys can get the tool from this uh, link. Okay, so I'll go through this in a while. And next, no Steam webpage. So we are going to emulate an attack that is coming from a cloned website, which is no Steam webpage. Why I chose this website? Because as you can see at the moment, right, most of the people are not actually purchasing games legally, which is from Steam or anything, any engines or anything. I'm not a gamer, but most of you guys might be a gamer. So I'm sure that most of you guys have actually browsed to No Sim, where you can download games for free, but you won't know whether it is a legitimate installer file or it is actually embedded with malicious scripts or anything. So I'm going to demonstrate a valid uh, thing that happens in the industry. And finally, we are going to use the infamous tool, which is Metasploit framework, which is very useful for our exploitation purposes. Okay, so this is an overview of what we are going to do today. So at first we are going to deploy and then we are going to embed our malicious script into the original installer file. And then we are going to host it on our own infrastructure. Okay. And we are going to make the victim to download our malicious installer file. Okay. This is our overview. And okay, so let's dig into it. So the next 2 days, we are going to build our infrastructure based on this mission overview. We have different types of infrastructure. For example, tomorrow we will be building our custom malware where it will be stealing credentials. And the third day, we are going to deploy a command and control framework. So it's going to be a command and control server where we're going to install all the tools and we are going to build our own infrastructure. So it's very important to understand the core concept and also stay together with me. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll explain further. Okay. So with that, let's dive in to our session today. Okay, let me just close this window. All right. I hope you guys have Kali Linux and also Windows machine. Okay. So let me just log in. All right. So as you can see here, I've already created a folder. So you guys can create a folder for your activity today. Okay. Okay. So I've created a Gofish folder. Okay. So we'll be using this folder today to download all of our Gofish configuration file. Okay. Let me just minimize this tab for a while. We are not going to use it at the moment. Okay, do we have Ubuntu work as well? Yes, can. But the thing is, you have to install the tools we are going to use. So Kali comes pre-configured with most of the hacking tools. But if you're going to use Ubuntu, you have to do a apt install for the tools we are going to use. But it works as well. Any Linux distribution works as well. Okay. So let's download Gofish. So if you go here, if you Google Gofish, you go to this main website. Yeah, I installed yesterday already. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going through this again so that yes, I'll be covering the OSCP journey in the third day, the final day. Okay, so let's first finish up our session, and I'll be sharing my journey on OSCP and also CH Practica at the end of the session. So for this distribution, I'm using the 64-bit. Okay, so let's just download this. All right, for those who have installed, just wait a moment. For those who haven't installed, you guys can follow together. Okay, so as you can see here, I have all of the configuration files here, and we have to make this binary executable. So chmod plus x executable, and you see it's executable now. So as you can see here, we have a configuration file. Let's say if you guys want to change the port numbers or anything, you can change the port numbers here. But as for now, we are going to keep it at default. Okay, so let's just run Gofish. And we have our password here. So the username, default username is going to be admin, and our password is this. And now we have an admin server running at port 3333. It is important not to expose this port to internet because anyone can log into your admin server. So just imagine that having an infrastructure exposed to the internet and having a weak password is very bad for our assessment. Okay. So if you're going to expose it to the internet, make sure you have very good password. Okay. So let me just go to the admin page. Okay, before that, let me just clear the cache because it's kind of slow. Okay, so let me just. So as you can see here, we have our Gofish admin portal. Okay, so you can log in using admin and the password in the terminal. So the password is given in the terminal. So copy paste it. It will prompt you to change the password. So set any password you want. Okay. So as for me, I'm going to set a password which is familiar to me. And I'm going to log in. And now we have our dashboard. Okay. So first thing first, when we are doing any social engineering assessment, we need to have an email address. Okay. So an email address is used to send emails to our victim. So for example, let's say we want to target an association called abc.com. Okay. So we can go and search for subdomains. Let's say we can go to GoDaddy. Okay, GoDaddy is a website place. We can buy domain names, we can buy websites. Okay. So let's say, for example, abc.com. Okay. Okay, let it do the search. It might take a while. And it says that abc.com is taken. But the thing is, we can purchase any other domains, okay, that looks alike to our real domain. Let's say, for example, our victim is abc.com, but then when we are sending any emails, the person have to think that we are sending from abc.com. Maybe we can do admin.abc.com, a subdomain. So sometimes people don't have any subdomains under that name. So let's say you can take a look here. We have admin-abc.com. So from a company perspective, if we have a subdomain that matches the domain name, people might think that, oh, it's a legitimate email address. So if we purchase this email address, this domain name, we can use this to send emails. We can use this to host our malicious website and etc. So this is how this technique is called domain fronting. So in this way, attackers can tend to spoof their existence, making victims to think that it's a legitimate website or legitimate email address. So in this case, I have an email address, so I'm not going to use a spoofed email address because it's we have to purchase it and everything. So I have a ready to go email address. So I'm going to log in into my email address. If you guys have your personal email address, you guys can use it as well. Or you guys want to create a new one, feel free to do so. We just need an email address for this demo. Okay. .com. Okay. And I'm going to log in. Okay. See. Right. So I log in already. So first thing first, the only problem you guys might be facing when you're sending an email address, sending an email is that, okay, you guys have to enable this option called less secure option. So let me just delete this, make it easier for us to identify our emails. Okay, cool. All right. So what happens here is we are not going to use this interface, this Gmail interface to send our emails. We can use it, but the thing is we can't automate. Let's say, for example, you want to send email to thousands of employees. Okay. But the problem is you can't just go and compose and send email for every 1,000 employees by hand. So this is where Gofish comes in. We automate all of this email sending just by having a template. And we need to link our account to Gofish. So for that, go to the manage account, manage your Google account, and you have to go under security. And as you can see here, okay, as you can see here, you need to turn on less secure app access. So by turning this on, we can log into our account from anywhere. That means any application can use our account. If you have less secure app access off, you won't be able to use this account from Gofish and etc. Okay, so just turn this on so that we can perform our attacks. Okay. Next thing we need to do is we need to configure our account details. So let's go to our sending profiles and click new profile. As you can see here, we can set this to any name we want. Okay. So for this, I'm going to create it as attacker profile. So attacker Gmail. Okay. And from address is where let's say for example, a person sends an email. People take a look at this from address, correct? So this is where we have to set any name. For example, we want to impersonate James sending email to Thomas. But then James is not sending that email. We want Thomas to think that James is sending an email. So we have to specify the name we want to impersonate. So for this example, I'm going to create a user named Marcus Low. Okay. Marcus Low, I want to impersonate. Okay. Let's say, for example, if we have an employee. So in this case, we are assuming that the user knows Marcus Low from the company. Okay. And for the next field, we have to insert our email address, which is permas phishing. Yep. Let's secure apps. permasphishing@gmail.com. Okay. What was the option in Gmail to turn on? Temporary email. I'm not sure about temporary email because temporary emails comes with SMTP. I'm not sure whether SMTP comes with it. Because as for Gmail, you have SMTP enabled. For temporary emails, I'm not sure. I don't think SMTP option is available for it. So you have to check on that. Why we use less secure app? Okay, because we have to log in. Okay, Google assumes that if you are not using Gmail's login portal to log into the Gmail account, it's a less secure app. Okay, so let's say, for example, you want to log into your Gmail account from an Arduino. Okay, you want to, let's say, for example, you are creating an application, a terminal application, to automatically log into your email address and retrieve all of your emails. Okay, so Zain Ahmed, take a look at your configuration and take a look at your whether you have run the binary or not. It's under the security option. Okay, I'm going to show it again. Okay, so if you go here, manage your Google account, it's under the security option. Okay, yep, you can search as well. So it's under here. Okay, less secure app access. All right. What is the sign which is appear before the email? What do you mean? Yeah. Okay, let me continue. Okay, so as you can see here, this is the from, which is any name you want. You can create any name. Yeah, this one is, we are going to use this email. This is our email address. We are going to use this to send our email address, correct? So you see here, firmusphishing@gmail.com. So we are going to use this here. All right. So as you can see here, they have already give you a placeholder, first name, last name, and your email address. So we're just following it. Okay. As for the host, we need SMTP option, SMTP for Gmail and the port. Okay. So if you Google for it, okay. Okay. So if you Google for it, Gmail SMTP configuration. And as you can see here, it says that smtp.gmail.com is handling your SMTP request. So just paste it here, and the port is 587. Okay, so just put this here, 587. Okay, 587. And the username. Okay, username will be your email address because it's going to log into your Gmail account. And the password for your email address. Okay. And leave it as it is. And let's send a test email. Okay. We are going to send this test email to our own account. We are going to test everything on our own account first before sending to our victim so that our attack doesn't fail. Okay. So we are going to send a test email. Let's say I'm putting a first name. Okay. Attacker, let's say fake. Okay. Email address is our email address. So we are going to send an email, a test email to our own email address to test. Okay. So it's a hacker. Okay. Maybe position is hacker. Let's send this. Okay, if the sending is successful, email sent will be here. Okay, so the notification will be email sent. So as you can see here in the inbox, we have a default email sent from Gofish. So as you can see here, this is what I was telling you guys about. From address, that means Marcus Low have sent an email, and this is the email address. So in this case, we know that it's a fake email address. But if we buy a domain and we use a subdomain, people will think that it's a valid domain address. That's why we have to buy a domain address that match our target. Okay. So as you can see here, this is an email, blah, 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 blah. This is a test email. So everything works fine from our Gofish. We can send an email to our Gmail account. So all good. So let's save the profile. Okay, all good so far, guys? Any difficulties? Anyone can't do? All good? All right, cool. Can you explain about SMTP? Okay. I don't think I can explain much about SMTP. Maybe you can do some Googling about it. SMTP is a protocol used to transfer emails. Okay, let's say for example you have a client. How the client sends an email to another client? It's going through the SMTP protocol. So as for example, you are browsing using your Google Chrome, and as you can see here, it's using the SSL protocol, which is HTTPS. Okay, so each applications have their own protocols. So for email address to send out emails, it's going to use SMTP. To receive emails, it's going to use IMAP. IMAP is a protocol to receive your emails. SMTP is to send out the emails. Okay, so you guys can Google it on your own. There's bunch of YouTube videos on it. When email to go spam. Okay, this one you have to make sure that you have a proper domain name. You have to make sure that your, let's say like your security options, something like that. DMARC, it's called DMARC. Okay, so it's a DMARC. If you Google about DMARC record, so DMARC record is responsible to take a look at your email address and check whether it's a spam address or not. So let's say if you go to DMARC check, DMARC record checker. Okay, so let's say domain to verify, right? So if you use domain abc.com, okay, okay, you can just Google check DMARC for email. Okay, you can just Google for it lah. Okay, email tools and stuff. It's going to check your DMARC record and check whether your email is more likely to go to spam or more likely to go to the inbox. But most of the time when you are engaging in a social engineering engagement with a company, like what I did before with the company, they tend to whitelist your domain name so that it goes to the inbox. So you do not need to worry about it. Okay. But most of the time, you guys can take a look at how to bypass the DMARC and stuff because technology is keep on evolving. So something you are trying today will not be possible in the near future. So you guys have to innovate most probably. Yeah. So the next thing we are going to do is we're going to create a landing page. Okay. Okay. For landing page. Okay. For landing page. Okay. Before that, right? Okay. Before that, let us jump into cloning the website because this is the final part of sending an email. So we have to clone our website and set up our infrastructure so that we can send an email after that. Okay. So let's go to the cloning part first. I'm going to go to no Steam website. Okay. So advanced. So this is a very familiar website for most of you guys. I'm really sure about that. For all gamers. Okay. So, okay. So as you can see here, there's a lot. Yeah, mostly for GTA Vice City. Yeah, very, very popular site, right? Okay. So for today's demo, right? Let's say you have a new game coming out in the market. And for example, okay, for a previous client, a social engineering assessment we did for the company, we used uh, an email template to spoof as a vaccination registration website. Okay, because at that point in Malaysia they were distributing this AstraZeneca vaccination. So most of the people were eagerly waiting for vaccination. And that's when we can exploit their weakness. Crack version of games, exactly. So it's very important to identify what's the likelihood of them going to this website. For example, a student, if a student is involved in the social engineering assessment, students most likely will be finding for discounted prices for some products and stuff like that. So when you are delivering a coupon or anything, they tend to click it. Okay, so something like that. So for this assessment, we are just going to assume that the person we are going to send to is anticipating a release of a new game. So for example, just imagine that a game called Call of Duty, okay, Modern Warfare. Okay, it's an old game. It's an old game, but for this demo, I'm going to use this. Okay. Okay, let's say we go Black Ops lah. Okay, Black Ops. Let's just click this. Okay. All right. So we are redirected to this page. So as you can see here, it says click here, and we can download the full game here. So this is what we want. What we can do now is, okay. So what we're going to do is, we're just going to view page source. Okay, we're going to view page source, and we are just going to steal all of the HTML code. Okay, copy all of the HTML code. Okay, so let's go to a new pane. I'm using a new pane here. So I'm going to create a, let's say, clone website. Okay, all right, and I'm going to put it into a index.html file. All right, you can name it any file you want. Okay, and boom, done. Okay, so when you do index.html, it's an HTML document. Okay, so for example, right, this is a valid website. This is a valid website. But what happens now is, we can actually host our own website that looks exactly like NoSteam. How do we do that? Okay, let's set up our own web server. Okay, we can use PHP for it. PHP server -s, capital S. Okay, and we are going to use this IP. Okay, I'm going to use my local IP. I'm going to use my this IP because I'm going to open up the website in my Mac machine. Okay, so I'm not going to use Firefox. It is laggy here. So put in the IP address. You can use 127.0.0.1, anything you want, as long you can access the website. Okay, and next I'm going to use the port. Okay, for this I'm going to use the port 8080. Okay, port 8080. And as you can see here, we have a development server set up in this directory. So if you go here now, okay, so the IP is 192.168.186.160. It might be different for you guys. So you guys follow together. So port 8080, and let it load, and boom, it looks exactly like our real website, which is NoSteam. NoSteam looks like this, and our own web server looks like this, which is exactly like NoSteam. So this is when, maybe for example, you guys are searching for nosteam.ro. I have a query. Okay, Prinal. Okay, go ahead. What's the query? Okay, you guys have to, I'm going to show again. Okay, run ifconfig and take the etc ETH0. Okay, ETH0, which is your local address. Your local address, which is accessible in your local area network. Okay, so as you can see here, we have our own website here, the Kali one. Yep, exactly, because we are hosting the website from our Kali machine. If you are hosting from your host machine, then use your host machine address. So now, if you go to GoDaddy, okay, for example, I'm going to GoDaddy, yeah, or any domain names website. You can go any domain name website. So let's just search for any domain that stands out for no Steam. Let's search for this. All right, cool. Okay, so you see here, there's multiple domains. No Steam.info, no Steam.live, no Steam.online. But the most important thing is no one cares about the domain names. They only care about downloading their games, correct? So what we can do, we can just purchase that domain name and we can set up our own infrastructure and run our own web server that serves this website. So for example, now we have Call of Duty. So today we'll be using, today until the third day, we are going to use Call of Duty as our target installer, okay? So as you can see here, if you hover over this, click here, if you see down here, it says no steam games.ro info, blah, 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 okay, and stuff. So it's going to go to a legitimate website where you can download Call of Duty game, correct? But what we're going to do now is we're going to change the IP address location to locate back to our web server where we are going to host our own application, which is not the original installer. Okay, so that's interesting, correct? We are going to host our own malicious installer. So how do we do that? Okay, let's turn off our web server for a while. Okay, so we have our index.html file. You can do anything with this. You can rename this to download.html. You can download this for games.html. Excuse me, or anything you want. Okay, but index.html works best because it automatically loads the page for you. Okay, so what happens now? Let's open up, let's create a directory. So normally when you go to a website, you guys tend to stumble upon some web directories called like upload, download, and stuff. So we want to make sure that our infrastructure looks like a legitimate website. So what we're going to do for it, we are going to create a directory called downloads. Okay, so let's go to downloads. And here we are going to download our legitimate game installer first. Okay, let's download the legitimate game installer. So here, right, okay, we have the file. Okay, it's redirecting to somewhere else. Okay, let me just download it back. And yes, this is the website. Okay, so you guys can download it. Let me check if I have that file with me. Okay, so I have it here. Let me check. Bookshop archive. And here, I have this here. Okay, so let me just copy this to our working directory. Okay, okay, so now I have this file, but the thing is you can download it, you can transfer to your Kali machine. Okay, you guys can do it. Okay, so you guys can follow it. So this is a legitimate installer. If you run this on your machine, Call of Duty Black Ops 3 will be installed. Okay, bear in mind, this is a valid installer. Okay, what we're going to do now is, okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to edit the file. We're going to edit our index.html file so that every single links are redirected to our infrastructure instead of going to original no steam website. For example, if you click the link here previously, it will go to this website, but we don't want that. We want them to come to our server and download our malicious exe file, okay, so that we can compromise their machine. Okay, So what we're going to do now, I'm going to open up Sublime Text here. Okay, you guys can use any editors. Okay, you guys can use any editors you want. Okay, let me just close these folders and stuff. Okay, so we have the index or HTML file. As you can see here, these are all legitimate website URLs, correct? Okay, the one we are interested in is the one with this. Okay, let me just close this. Okay, we are interested in this. Okay, so when you are installing game, we are going to come here and click this here. Okay, to download the game, correct? So we are going to change this URL to head to our infrastructure. Okay, so the word here is click here. So let's search for click here in our index.html file. All right, click here. So as you can see, we have some occurrence here. Okay, so as you can see here, we have our some occurrence, which is click here. Okay, click here, click here, click here. Correct? So what we're going to do, we have to change this address to our infrastructure. Okay, so it's going to be HTTP, our IP address. So our IP address what? 192.168.168.186.160 and port 8080. Okay, so previously I showed you how to run a clone website, right? From a PHP web server. So the same thing applies here. Use your own IP address. Don't follow me. It might be different for you. So you guys can check from ifconfig. Okay, ifconfig. For those who don't have ifconfig, maybe you guys can run IPA. It will give you something like this as well. Okay, but ifconfig should be able to show you all the IP addresses in your Kali machine. And next, we are going to redirect to our folder. Our folder is downloads, correct? Our folder is downloads. This is where we have our file, correct? So downloads folder and the file name. Okay, so let's put our file name. Okay, let's put our file name here. Okay, okay, done. Okay, done. Okay, copy the same thing. Okay, copy the same thing. Find for the next occurrence. Click here. Okay, click here is going to be here as well. So paste this here. Click here. Click here. Okay, so why are we repeating this? So that whatever they are clicking, we have a higher chance of them running our executable. Okay, so click here, click here. Okay, we have this as well. Replace, click here,